See if we're live. I think that we're live. We're live.
There we go. There we go.
Hi, everyone.
There we go. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Amato. Hey, Mason. How you doing? Hey, Matt. How you doing? Hey, Shell. How you doing? Hey, Mugshot. How you doing? Mr. James. Arsha. How you doing? Hey, Mechanese. How you doing? Adam, how you doing? We have Mr. Angelos also over here.
What's up, everyone? What's up?
Let me know if the volume of the instrumental is okay. Leave it here in the comment section if I make it louder, possibly something like this. Let me know. I'm gonna keep on talking so you guys can compare my voice to the instrumental. So, is it okay? This vocal is a bit too loud, right? Okay, that's good. We're gonna start in like... Sorry?
My voice okay?
Yeah, you're okay. Right. Is Angelos okay? Like, keep talking, Angelos, just so we can set it up.
Hello, hello, hello. How's
all good?
Doing?
All good with our voices and the level of the instrumental. Hey, Ford, Ton, Nikusha, how you doing all? Okay, awesome. Angelo's a teeny bit quiet, so I'm gonna raise him a little bit as well. That's the max that I can get him. Music could be pulled back 5%, so I'm gonna just lower it a little bit. How are you all doing? Thank you for tuning in. So far we are 14 people live, which is pretty awesome. 15 now. We're pretty awesome. And we're probably growing and growing 16 and keep on growing. We're McLoving it, that's it. So prepare your questions. We're gonna answer all the questions that you want. We're gonna go into the mixing project. We're gonna go into the vocal project as well. We're gonna answer a little bit of how the collab came about as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it over here in the comment section afterwards, and we can definitely check them out as well. Hey, Mr. Dublin, how you doing? Hey, Mr. Conrad, Mixwarp, Kojun, Anand, how you all doing? Thank you everyone for tuning in here on Sunday. Hey, Mr. Nicholas, how you doing as well? Should we start? Hey, The Ocean, how you doing? So, The Ocean, Angelos is also from Montreal.
What's up, buddy?
Should we start? Should we start? I feel that it would be kind of nice to start a little bit of how we came up with the song and like how the idea came along. Mr. U Oak also here. Let's go and let's start our live stream over here. Essentially, I feel that Angelus can talk a little bit about this, so we can afterwards discuss more about it and how it came up. But the idea, I think it was kind of mutual. We wanted to do something together, and I feel that it just I think that we got into a meeting. You can go from here. Hey, Marnello.
Yeah, so what's up, Marnello? How are you? So the project, we originally had another idea in the beginning, and then we kind of came together, like, we could do something more unique, something that we haven't done before, and we came up with this. I personally really like how it came out. Leo's pretty happy too, Brandon too. And yeah, we came up with something different, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I feel that it was kind of a different collab, to be honest, because normally as a collab, I'm always thinking of we start the instrumental track and then afterwards we work on the vocals. But for this one, we actually, hey, Mr. Pinkwitz. For this one, we actually started with the vocals, actually. So Brandon, who is not able to be here, Brandon sent us, we got into a meeting, and we had a meeting, everything together, everyone together, and then Brandon wrote 5 ideas, if I'm not wrong. 5, right, Angelos?
I think maybe more. Maybe more.
And then from these, we just wrote everything to, like, we picked the one that we liked the most. And after that, it just came along, and I feel that I was the first that did something, and then I sent the project to the guys from Mind the One. Angelos and Chris did an amazing job over there as well. And then we came back and forth, and I think that the last 4 sessions we did it all together. I think we were all in the same chat. And it was pretty cool. It was something really unique in the collaboration kind of side, because I feel that, at least to me, I've never worked on a song like with everyone together in the same project and everything, right? You guys have any questions? Feel free to drop in. Otherwise, we have like something that we're probably gonna go through. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section. If you want to see any part of the track, also drop it over there. So Amato asked, how were you all in the same project at the same time? Yeah, it was all like via Zoom. We connected all via Zoom. Everything that we did was via Zoom, because we've never met in person, right, Angelos?
Well, we have to.
We have to. We
gotta make arrangements for that.
Yeah. So I know that Angelos was like in Toronto like 1 week after I went there, but we never met actually, So everything
was like meet in Toronto.
Yeah, we should. Hey, Subside, how you doing? So basically, Pinkoids asks a little bit about vocal mixing. We're gonna go through this afterwards. We're gonna go through all the vocal, because these are all the vocal stems that we have. So we have delays, we have effects, we have doubles, we have another effect. So these are just harmonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have altered voices, we have return channels, we have dry signal as well. There's quite a lot to go through over here. And we're gonna go through almost everything, if not everything. So we're gonna go and do a little bit of the vocal processing as well. I saw that someone asked a little something over there. Dublin just looks like the process that has no bus processing, just master. So yeah, this process, whenever we're doing the mix, the project, at least the way that I normally like to do it, we produce all the project over here, and then we export everything. And we go to a mixing project where we do all the final mixing. So yeah, this doesn't have any bus processing. And even in the mixing project itself, we don't have any bus processing as well. It's only master. and we do separated everything into buses, but it's all done in chat, and like the bus is just merely for organization, you know. And yeah, Sekora asks if the song is signed yet. It's signed to the best label ever. You guys can check the songs. I'm gonna leave the link over here to the song. So if you haven't listened to the song yet, you can go to Spotify. You can go to any platform over there and just listen to it. It's a really cool song. Brenda did an amazing job. I feel that we should start with the main question that everyone has when talking about this. It's about the basses and everything. We could start with the lead. We could start with percussion, drums, and everything. What do you guys want to see first? Drums, leads, bass, kick and bass. What is your preference at the moment? Leave it here in the comments and let's see what people want. There's one vote for bass. Fat bass, please, of course, yes. Yeah,
It's safe to say to start with bass.
Yeah, I feel that bass is normally the main pain point for a lot of people. So we're gonna start with this. Like normally when we're doing, so we always have reference tracks over here, and when listening to these songs, like we always make sure to understand how loud everything is. Hi, Mr. Robert, how are you doing? We always listen to these reference tracks and try to understand how loud the bass is in comparison to everything. We got a kick. This kick, if I'm not wrong, it's a kick that I've used in the track Dunes actually, and it's a kick that I've gotten from a track from Valence and Tier. And you can see it's, oops, I raised my volume of my mic. Now it's back on, so I'm just raising my mic over here. So basically, I'm just using a little LFO2 just to cut a little bit of the rest of any possible transient that might have over there, because you can see that the kick is quite long over here. I don't like when the kick is longer than this. I think that I've actually, oh, this is 1/4. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. But yeah, we're cutting. Essentially, we're doing this with the kick. That's simply what we're doing. So, but instead of having the full kick, we always like to leave this space over here for the sub. You Oak asks if we rip kicks out of tracks or we make them in kick 2. I normally rip, to be honest, but I feel comfortable in using them because they're not the exact sample, because there's always a little bit of processing. There's always a little bit of like the actual ripping process isn't gonna get you the same exact sample, and it's likely that person got that kick from a kick sample itself, or like he probably sampled from somewhere else. So I feel comfortable using this because again, like it's never the raw sample. You do have some processing. It's never probably, this is reason number 2, probably the guys who use this kick use it from a sample pack as well. And 3, we do also some processing on the kick afterwards. So again, it's not going to be the exact same sample afterwards. So I hope that the sample police has cleared me. Yeah, no, we don't remake them in kick 2. I just normally use them from here. Okay, I'm free to go. That's good. Otherwise we'd have problems, but anyway. Kick over here, and then we go to basses. Like I feel that if you go through other live streams that we've gone through, this is a process that we've been following for a long time, which is splitting the basses into sections. Hey, Bang Loud, I saw that Fresh Produce is also here. DePaul is also here. So hey, everyone that's coming over here. We're gonna go through all the questions, so if we don't get your question, just message us again, and then we go through your question. And Angelos, feel free to interrupt or anything. Hey David, how you doing? But essentially over here, so we have a sub channel, which the sub is always Serum, and it's always just a basic shapes, just a sine wave. Reason why it's a sine wave, it's always just easier to control it over here. We just want one fundamental over here. We have then a second layer, which is then a saw wave over here. And we use that saw that I've made for my freshly squeezed pack that it's called Everyday. And reason why it's that, it's because I call it, like, it's the everyday bass, you know, like it's the bass that you're gonna use it every day. And and we just tweaked it a little bit to make it a little bit more harmonic. So we added a little bit of distortion, we added a little bit more of the pluck over here, we added a little bit more of stereo. So without it, this is mono, this is a little bit more stereo. But at the same time, we're cutting this based on the progression that we're playing over here. We're cutting this off. So this is the highest note, this is the lowest note. We're setting this up in a way that the main frequency of the sub stays in one band, the second frequency stays in the second band, and then the rest stays in the mid layer. So the mid layer is here. It's kind of not audible right now, but you can hear it probably throughout the rest of the song. And then we have this. And we have this as well. So if you join them all together, and essentially the idea of this second octave is to have this second layer over here split into differences, you know. So this way we don't have sub in this layer, we have sub only in this layer, and we can control them all independently. Not only for a reason of having a different LFO2. So for example, if you see over here LFO2 of the sub and the LFO2 of this channel, it should have been different. Normally it is, but you can see that this mid layer over here is a little bit more relaxed. The depth is a little bit more relaxed over there. So that's normally reason why we like splitting over here. We are 38 people right now, so thank you everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate this. Hit the like button already, so if you're liking the video over there. And also, if you're not subscribed to Abstrakt, feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And let's keep on going. I feel that we started with this bass idea, but also something that really contributes to the bass is the piano. And originally, we had a piano set up in a way, but Angelos, if you want to talk a little bit, so I don't take over the whole thing.
For sure. So yeah, we started this track with the vocal, and then Brandon also provided us some chords. So with the chords, we had our bass as well, and then we just started with pretty much vocal, chords, bass, and then pretty much started working with everything else also.
Yeah, essentially. So Brandon wrote the melody over here, as you can listen over here. That's how everything started. And then we did the bass notes and everything, which essentially they're just following the progression over there. And the idea of the split over here, so as I told you, is then we can control them independently. We can have a little bit more control of the loudness, sidechain, and everything. And then when you listen to kick and bass, all of them together, and normally a way that I like using reference tracks to mix everything is essentially like you look at a reference track, and let's say this one. You can see how loud the kick is, how loud the sub is, and based on that, you can just is it quiet? Or you guys can hear everything? Let me know if the level is.
And maybe raise it a bit, Leo.
Oh, raise it a bit. Oh, yeah. No, that's why. So wait a sec. -3. That's now it's gonna be better, right? So kick and bass over again, so you guys can listen. The idea is to have something similar, you know. You can see that somehow it's similar. Again, because we use reference tracks to understand how loud it should be. when you A/B, so let me go through all the questions that we have. We have this question from Jazio over here. We had a question also from, it was the first thing. It was all about the bass, and then we had the questions, blah 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 blah. The sample police. what are your thoughts about having the kick and key with the track? So normally, that's the first thing is, if your song is going to be in G, and all the songs that you like, the kick over there hits in A, why not? You know, I don't feel that it needs to be in G. This is my perspective on that. I'm gonna ask Angelo's on that as well. But and the way that I think about it is that, imagine you're in a band. In a band, you're probably not gonna be able to tune your kick to each song. It's gonna be once tuned and that's it, right? So why should we do the same thing? I've heard tracks that were in G that had the kicks in F sharp. So I don't feel that. It needs to be in key. Angelos, please take your take on that as well. Angelos?
I'd say usually just my personal experience.
Okay. Your camera is froze.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, your camera is stuck though. Maybe
Yeah, my bad.
Maybe you reset it.
Yeah, give me one.
Yeah, now you're better.
Yeah, works.
It works. Go ahead.
Can you hear me as well? Awesome.
Yes.
So in my personal experience, I'd say I'd always keep the kick either on the root note, the third or the fifth, just because I feel it just rings the best. And that's kind of the rule of thumb I use for every track. So I would say either the root, third, or the fifth works the best in my personal experience.
Yeah. Normally, I would say to you to keep your kick in the same, like in a node within the key. So if your key is E, you can use all the notes within E. But I like to stay within G, G sharp, and A. That's my sweet spot for kicks, in my opinion. Okay. Carmi asks, do you mean ripping from another track? How do I make sure that you isolate the kick from everything else? So Carmi, I have a video that I'm going to post it over here in the top right corner. Maybe I'm going to post it over here in the chat as well. Let me just get it, this one. But this way you can listen to, you can rip kicks over here. Let me just get this video so you guys can get this over here. But there are a couple techniques that I use to extract the kick from other tracks. There are actually 3 techniques that I've gone through, and they work amazingly well. Like, I honestly really love how well you can do this. Spoiler: the best is number 3. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go, and we have the music is very quiet. We raised this already. Mixed toward Ableton sound low. We already raised this as well. When do you A/B the reference track? Do you do that with the final mastered loudness or just the final mix no master? So normally when doing reference tracks, the key to me is you have to put them at the same loudness. Mix and master or non-mix and master, whatever, they have to be at the same loudness. And while you're doing this, like, it has to be like, okay, this feels like the same loudness. Perfect. Once you do that, then you look at the spectrum and you see this, for example. Like, here's the kick from Yoro's track. So it's hitting over here at -17, right? And we're hitting almost at -17 as well. This is another track. So essentially just listen to something else that you like and then put it at the same loudness, and then boom, just look at the spectrum and over there. Leo, but I don't use Ableton. I use Voxengo Span Spectrum. Well, if you're trying to do the same thing with Voxengo Span, what I would recommend just is that you have these settings over here. Let me just open them up so you guys can check this. Presets, default. Just make sure to print screen of this over here. I'm going to leave a link here in the description if you want to check the settings. But just so you can see, they essentially are going to hit in the same loudness, or whereas Voxengo Span over here. the idea is for them to hit at the same loudness in the same way with Voxengo span and everything. They're gonna be slightly different, but they're gonna essentially work the same. I think Carmi said, I think it's a key. It's on a key within the master scale. It should be fine. Yeah, that's essentially the idea. Metric AB. Do you use Metric AB, Angelos?
Yes, but the only thing that I do different is on the mode I put high res because it's more specific. So you can see frequencies more specific. So like go on mode.
This
you have it default.
Yeah, I have
go on default.
Wait a sec.
It says mode default, like on the top there. Top right of span. Exit this window. Exit this window.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
High res mode.
High res.
Yeah.
There you go. So essentially here it's supposed to be the same, yeah? Yeah, we're probably gonna have to take this loop out again. We're probably gonna have to redo everything that we did just so we. Oh, that's why I have the mode. It's the same thing. Just make sure to have this loop at 0. The average all the way down and the overlap all the way up. That's normally what I would recommend. Like this loop to me, because if you don't use this loop at 0, you can fool yourself. For example, can you see how this loop is actually making the sound feel louder or quieter? And it's not actually just being louder or quieter. It's just changing how you see it and how you perceive it and everything. So that's something that I would definitely recommend keeping an eye on. And well, moving on, then we had this piano over there, and I feel that Angie can talk a little bit about the story of the piano, how we had it and how we had to change it because we had some requests from Sekora. But go ahead.
Well, also like feedback is probably the most important thing because you listen to a track a few hundred times and you don't realize what's wrong with it, and that's why feedback is very important. So when you're sending it out to labels and they're giving you feedback, you should probably take it. And well, depending on your vision of the track as well, right? You don't want to go too far off. But the piano sounded completely different. We had to change a few notes, and then this was the final product. This was the final product of the chords. Change a few notes around, and it sounded a lot better.
Yeah, and not only this, but initially we had the song starting really raw.
No piano. Yeah, no piano.
As you can see, it starts really raw, and then we essentially changed this afterwards. Actually, I was checking here. This is not actually the final project. The final project had the piano over here right from the beginning, right?
Yeah, with a different rhythm as well.
So essentially, we had to put the piano over here. And Greg from Sekora, he said that it was lacking a little bit of groove in the sound. So essentially, what we did was we picked this over here and created a little bit of like something like this.
Exactly.
And instead of having this note just playing once, we did it playing twice. So it's like bung, 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 bung. Bung, bung. Essentially, that's what we did with the song. And then it goes back to how it is over here. Carlos is asking over here about if we use mouse or we change the velocities. Normally when we change the velocities, at least when I change the velocities, I just use Ableton's plugins over here. And I just go here to velocity and I pick this and put it like to 100. And let's say 100 over here, 100 over here. But I put a little bit of randomness over here of around 15. So at least it's not. It creates
very subtle.
It creates the subtleness a little bit of how we can make this this a little bit better. And yeah, Uoke says the feedback was subtle, but definitely made it better. Yeah, I 100% agree with it. Like
100%.
we listened to whenever the feedback gave us the label gave us the feedback, we were like, should we do it? Should we not? And we tested it, and after testing everything, it was sounding a lot better. So we were like, why not just keep it over there, because it did sound better. So why not just keep it, right? And yeah, the velocity trick, it's always really good because you kind of create a little bit of a humanization, as Amato is saying to the song, and it's always really good. So I always like doing this kind of stuff. As you can see, we haven't done it for this one, but whenever we can, we do it. Let me see if I can find the latest project. Maybe I have it somewhere over here, or maybe over here. Anyway, essentially the only thing that we changed was the initial beginning over here, because all the rest is the same. Then we go to the percussions over here, and just so you guys can listen to the full percussions of the song. Really organic, really, like, we have a lot of elements going through, and I feel that if you want to talk about it, Angie, take over.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. Leo actually did all the drums, and then he sent it over, and I'm like, wow, Leo, this sounds really good. Like, everything is like in its own space. It sounds really good, groovy. I'm like, okay, here we go. So then, you know, you fuse the drums with the kick, the kick with the bass, and then you put the vocals, and you kind of saw the direction of the track. We're like, okay, you know, like, I would say like the drums are the foundation of a track. So if your drums are really weak, then you should really just focus on getting the drums right, because it won't work if the drums are not right.
Yeah, and you can see it over here that we got a lot of, like, we have over here some Vengeance stuff, we have some Cashmere stuff, we have some Sample Magic. Also, this is Sample Magic. There's also, like, I love the Cashmere pack. Like, I've been using it for like almost everything. And essentially we have this shaker loop over here from Cashmere. We have some drum fills. Just to and we have this clap, some hi-hats. There's a lot of stuff happening over here. So we have this continuous hat that it's bouncing left and right. Reason why we had this bouncing left and right is because we already have this hat over here in the center. So this one doesn't interfere one with the other. And then we have these additionals over here. This psh, you know. You also have this, you know, like just a little hint of a loop. You can see that this is a full loop. Just grab, like, whenever we're using loops, just grab a little bit of it, a little bit from here, a little bit from there. This way you can make it interesting and a little bit more dynamic. You can see that we've done the same thing over here. Just to make this a little bit more human as well. We have bongos. Some snaps. Really quick. We have some low percussions. We have some additional percussions, and essentially that's what we have for the whole song. One thing that I like to point out over here, though, is normally when producing drums, and not only drums, well, Carlos is asking, how do I smooth hi-hats? Honestly, there's nothing over here. You can see that there's no processing on the hi-hats whatsoever. Like, honestly, that's essentially it. Whenever using drums, I don't like doing any kind of, like, even like taking out harsh frequencies or stuff like this. To me, like, everything sounds fine now. So everything essentially, I didn't do anything. It was just like the way it is, you know. You can see that there are no elements taking frequencies out of that. One thing that I do recommend when using drums is you can always add a little bit of sidechain to the drums, as you can see over here, just to add a little bit of groove to it, as it would as the whole song has it, you know. So not only the percussion, but the whole song side chains with each other, you know. So that's a cool technique to make it bounce a little bit more. And did we apply groove swing to the song, to the percussions? I don't think we did, because the loops itself, they already have a little bit of swing. They're not fully on mark, I guess, or maybe we've even corrected them, but we didn't apply anything of that. We just picked a good sample. Once you have a good sample, you don't have to actually like keep on doing a lot of stuff. We did apply groove over here, as you can see, and I feel that this is being applied to the pianos, and that's it. You know, we apply groove only to the pianos. We can go afterwards to the other melodic elements as well. If you want to do you apply groove to your drums, Angie?
I usually do, just to kind of gel all the drums together, because sometimes, you know, you grab different loops from different packs and they all have different grooves. So, you know, if it sounds okay to you, then, you know, there's no need to add groove. But if you feel like something is off, or like the rhythm is off, then definitely apply groove to, I'd say, almost all the drums. Not everything, only the problematic ones. But I usually add some swing to my drums.
Yeah, it depends on how you have the drums over here directly. Like if you feel that they need more, you can do it. You mean groove from through groove pool? Groove? Do you apply it from groove pool to your samples,
yeah.
or to your midis?
Both. So what you could also do is, if you have a sample that you really like, so if you have a drum loop that you like the swing of, you could actually extract the groove from that sample and apply to the rest of your drums, so it could kind of gel together better.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Or normally, like if you want to apply a little bit of groove over here, essentially you can just come here into the sample. I'm not sure how you can do this in other VSTs, but you can just slightly shift them a little bit, just so they're not 100% on the grid over here. Like just a little bit here, just a little bit there. If you're producing house music especially, this is gonna be huge to you. Hey Dusa, how you doing? Hey Brendan, how you doing as well? Essentially this is really helpful to create a little bit of off shifting in the sound, which tech house and stuff like this is also really good. But that's essentially it. And Carlos asked me over here, maybe panning. If you see it over here, all the percussions, we don't do panning that much. We do a little bit of panning for some elements. Like essentially, there's only 2 elements that have a little bit of panning. This one possibly because it was a little bit shifted to the right without the panning. So the idea is to put it a little bit more in the mono and then open it up with the auto pan over here. So without the auto pan, you can see it's mono. If you take it over there, we can
nice movement.
Spread it out a little bit, and just to have it a little bit more left and right. But I like to think, and I'm gonna ask you, Angie, how you do it as also. But for this one, we thought a little bit more of like mono and stereo. Normally, main elements go in mono. So, for example, snares go in mono, and you can always listen to your reference track and see like, where is the snare going in the reference track? Is it going in mono? Is it going in stereo? Do we need to go in mono over here, mono and stereo over there? But normally main elements in mono. So for example, clap, that doesn't mean that it has to be fully mono, like it mainly playing in the center. Okay, that's what I mean with mono. Has a good mono presence, and then some elements, this one is already, it has a little bit of a stereo content, but it's mainly playing on the mono field, you know. We do have a little bit of automation as well, as a Crooked Teardrop over here asked of a little bit of automation to wash out. We use the bass clap easy wash out. Essentially, if you have Endless Mayo, or if you have now Tool Room Infinite, which is this plugin over here.
Is this a new plugin?
Yeah, it's a new plugin from Tool Room, actually. And essentially, it's pretty good because you can, it's a one knob thing, but at the same time, if you want to go and tweak everything, like I want to tweak this automation, let's say I choose this one, for example. I have mine over here, like I have my Leo Ready preset over here. You can tweak the automation of all the effects in there. So it's like Endless Mayo on steroids, let's say like this, and then everything goes back to the simple knob over here. So it's pretty nice. I definitely recommend it. I'm gonna leave a link here also in the description. What sample pack is that shaker loop from? This is Cashmere. This is really good, and it's Cashmere.
All the samples are really, really good.
Yeah, I really love the Cashmere. Like, the main reason why I use the Cashmere packs are for shaker loops. Like, I use it all the time. But you can see it over here that we have a little bit of also of LFO2 over here just to make it bounce. This is without it, and this is with it. It just makes it bounce a little bit.
That's around the kick as well. Gives it some more groove.
Yeah, it's essentially the main reason why we have this over here. We have this in the continuous hat. I think that we have it in the bongo as well. Again, and you can see that we have this low cut over here around 100 hertz in the bongo as well. The idea here is to clean out the low end because we're already going to have a lot of low end coming from the bass. We're already going to have a lot of low end coming from the kicks and everything. So having this low cut over here, again, it's not a must-have thing without it. But again, by cleaning 0.1 here, 0.1 there, 0.1 there, 0.1 there, we are cleaning 3 dB in the end. In that
it adds up.
It adds up, exactly. So, and that's something that I speak for both of us. Like, we always do this, me and Angie. Like, whenever I forgot something, they added. Whenever they forgot, I added afterwards. So it works both ways, you know. And then we go here. Why I use sidechain on LFO? Okay, why I use LFO2 instead of everything? So there's not necessarily only LFO2. Like, first, if you're not, I don't have LFO2. What should I do? There's this plugin over here called, it's from...
Shaperbox and Kickstart are really good, actually.
Flux. This one is a free option, okay? Flux Mini 2, if you don't have anything, go for it. It's really good. It does exactly the same thing, okay? If you want to go paid, there's Volume Shaper from Shaperbox, which is really good. Cable guys, Shaperbox, you can get the whole sample, the whole pack, or you can get just Shaperbox over here. There's also Duck from Devious Machines. There's also LFO2, which I like. Why do I use LFO2? It's alone. I use LFO2 because of kind of common use. I've always used it. I'm used to using it, so why not using it? Shaperbox, if I'm not wrong, is 89 bucks, but Volume Shaper alone is 34. But I'm gonna already do a pause over here, and I'm gonna already introduce and load the good info. As you want to do the honors, Angie? For the competition.
Oh, yes. So we're planning on doing a remix competition for the track. So if you want to remix the track, win a few prizes, get a release on Sekora. We'll be announcing everything soon, but I'll say that for now.
Yeah. I'm gonna just because we're talking about sidechain over here, Cable Guys is going to give us 1 license of Shaperbox for the winner and 2 licenses of Kickstart 2, which works really well as well. So if you're prepared for this, we have a lot more coming through. I've done the math recently, and the winner gets around $1,000 worth of plugins, if not more. And we're gonna have a lot more coming. All the information is gonna be available soon. We're expecting mid-October, something like this, and we're gonna announce it soon. So keep it posted on our socials. You can either go into my Discord, my socials, or also Mind of One and Brandon Mignacca's socials as well. Everything will be left here in the description afterwards. And yeah, let's keep on going here with the song. I want to talk a little bit about the piano itself and what we got over here from Brendan. Let me just put it over here so you guys can listen to the break. So, Angie, your turn now.
Yeah, so, I mean, for those who don't know Brandon, I've known him for quite a few years, and he's an excellent musician. And when he sent us those 6 projects, those 6 ideas that he had, and we heard this one, we're like, oh my goodness, like this is gonna be good. But no, I mean, he's absolutely amazing to work with. He's a really, really talented musician. I mean, the guy just, I don't even know what to say. He's just really, really, really good. But no, I mean, like without the vocals of this track, I mean, the track is still good, but I mean, his voice is just incredible. But yeah, like if you guys realize too, like we have the pretty much the same elements playing throughout the whole track. So we have the pianos, kick and bass, all that good stuff. And then towards the breakdown, it's just kind of like everything's loose. Everything's very ethereal, we'll say. And then once it starts building, there's a brand new element that comes in, which is the main melody, which I find refreshes the whole track, because it's like, oh, where'd this come from? And it just kind of gives you, you know, it just refreshes the track, and you just refreshes your ears. Very catchy too.
Keep on going.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember when Leo sent us the project to work with. We're like, okay, we need to come up with a melody, and we did say, okay, let's kind of not introduce the melody in the first part of the track, and then that way when it comes into the second part, it kind of gives it more of an impact. So, you know, we send him a melody back, and then he's like, okay, you know what, it sounds really good, just maybe change a few notes. And then, you know, he would go change a few notes, and then he would send it back to me and be like, okay, wow, we really like this. And that's pretty much it, I would say. Like breakdown's really, really nice. I mean, the vocal is kind of the stat, like the chords and the vocal are kind of like the focal point, and then it kind of just transitions to the melody, and then eventually everything comes together to kind of, you know, the climax of the track. And then at the bridge, just kind of like it smooths you off. And then, I mean, yeah, I'm really happy with this. The arrangement's really, really solid.
Yeah, and I mean, like over here, Carlos asked that it sounds like Diva. This is actually from Fur Cloud's pack. This is a preset for Serum.
Very simple sound, but the best sounds are the simple ones.
Yeah, very simple sound, but really well done by Fur Cloud. He's an amazing producer as well. His channel is really cool as well. I'm not a Diva guy, so I would be surprised to have a Diva in my tracks. Like, I don't really like. I love Diva, you know. A lot of people would be like, Leo, you're crazy, yeah. But yeah, I'm
saving a lot of CPU.
Yeah, I'm saving myself some CPU, but at the same time, like, Diva is pretty cool. The workflow is pretty nice. I definitely I'm getting more into it at the moment. I feel that over here, the piano that we use in the break, as you can see, this is audio, right? And this is because Brandon did this piano over here by himself. This is actually himself playing this.
No, he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible.
And originally this song was a bit different from what it is right now. So if you want to listen to how it was before, you can see that it sounds a little bit more hopeful than how it used to be. Oh, before?
It's more moody. It's more moody.
The reason for that is that before we had this, the whole break was in major, actually. And then we changed it to minor because we've been asking some feedback from friends and everything, and they kind of like, it was kind of like a, we don't like the change of moods that we had over there, so we went full moody and full full minor scale over here with how it is right now. But essentially it was major and minor, as you can see it over there. That was the main idea from the song after before we did some changes over there. Hey Shander, there's also David Deere that joined also, so Full Octave also just joined. The break bass is just a simple drone bass. just pretty simple. And then over here we go as we have a tension string, and then we have these pads, which I would assume this is probably mine, I'd say. I'm not sure. This one, just by the name of it, I'd assume this is from FurCloud, or Freshly Squeezed, actually. So this is not mine. This is from a version before mine. So do I use presets? Yes, I still do use presets, and I would recommend using because they do help a lot. You know, we have this ARP over here. Hey Ronan. So this ARP, essentially, as you can see, PL Teen Liquor. If you go here in the description or in the top right corner, and let me get the link over here so you guys can listen. ARP Teen Liquor. So in a previous video from Abstrakt, I remade the ARP from the pluck from Lost Gravity, which is a track from Teen Liquor, which is also really good.
What a track.
Yeah, you can check the video here. I just posted in the comment section afterwards. I'm gonna link it also in the top right corner. But well, why not use the same pluck? You know, like I've done it. You know, like we can definitely use it. So we did this ARP over here. If I'm not wrong, the idea started a little bit from the MIDI of Lost Gravity, and we tweaked it to be more different than it is not the same thing. And this plays along with everything, as I told before. And we have these guitar licks over here also.
Little fills.
These are stuff that I'm 100% sure that wasn't me. That was Mind of One adding afterwards, and I was like, yeah, cool touch. We actually
refreshing elements, yeah.
We actually added these over here in the intro as well in the latest project, but I have no idea where the latest project is. And then we also have this ARP2. This is in the drop, like in the build-up, just so you guys can listen. Howdy, Mr. Wilson. Because we want to build a little bit more excitement over here, so that's why we have this over there. We also have... Essentially, that's it. We have some effects. We're going to go into the effects afterwards, just so we don't miss everything. And this is a pretty cool thing. When Brandon first did the song, he did a full verse of the song. So as you can listen over here, this is the original vocal. So this was the original idea, and I just chopped it up. And you can see that it has an auto pen that goes left, right, right. And you have this vocal delay for chops as well. If I'm not wrong, this is on my website, so you can definitely get it over there. If you go to the free download section. But essentially this plays along with the song, and this goes over here as well in the build up. It does like a But I mean that, to me, honestly, the thing that really sparks over here in this build-up is this, and we're going to go into the vocals a little bit right now. We did a lot of processing in the vocal. We had a lot of content. Brendan honestly gave us like more stems than we had in instrumental parts for the vocal. So Brendan was insane in that sense. And then we picked this bit over here. And it just makes a big difference. Listen without it. And with it. To me, it just kind of hugs you, you know? And essentially over here, as I told, we have dry vocals. So all the dry vocals are here. Oops, where are the dry vocals? Oh, this is going all to the Vox full. So this has to go into the Vox dry. These are just buses just to organize everything. So
I'll fight for us, even if the world...
And important to mention, Leo, but this doesn't sound dry. Yeah, because everything that goes over here, all these buses, this, and that, they go to the Vox full. And in the Vox full, we have this rack over here. This rack was something that Taylor Torrance gave to me, and I've been using ever since. Essentially, it's a really complex rack. Again, I'm going to leave a link here in the description. There's the full description of this rack, how it works and everything. But essentially, this is the delay rack in which you have a dry signal and a bunch of return tracks over here. These actually are just working as return tracks. And you can see that each has its own different processing. And then everything that goes over here goes later to the... Where's the reverb bus? This is the delay. Okay, the reverb bus goes over here. So everything goes... All this bus goes into the dry... long reverbs and short reverbs. So if you listen, for example, without delays, with delays, reverbs, even if the world becomes so corrupt. I'm not sure if Taylor did this by himself. If he did, like, hats off to Taylor. But he sent it to me, and I've been using ever since. It's just really handy and easy to use. And then I automated everything. So you can see it here. If I tweak this, I'm going to tweak all the delays all together. If I tweak this, I tweak the long reverb. And here I tweak the short reverb. And essentially, this is how everything is bussed. So I'm just going through so you can understand why there's a little bit of delay and reverb in the dry vocal. Without it, I'll fight for us, even if the world becomes so corrupt, dust to dust. In addition to that, we have these Vox returns over here. These intensified some words, just so you can listen.
Yeah, they put emphasis on certain words, yeah.
If the world becomes so corrupt.
It's just a little, like, some words over there. Jazzy, I'm gonna go through that in a bit. We have some altered voices. The low voice. Just to give a little bit of body to the sound, and the high voice to kind of like add Alvy and the Chipmunks a little bit. We have Brandon harmonies. And I mean, these are amazing. Like, they just sound really nice without it and with it. It just makes everything so warm and so nice. So it's really nice. We also have some effects from Brandon over here. Probably more shouts over here. And then some last delays over here, which are the same thing as the vocal returns. But they add a little bit more. And all these channels, they go, especially these channels over here. So what do I do? So Jazzio asked about the vocals, if I use autotune a lot. The main vocals, we use Melodynes. So with Melodyne, we go into each specific section of the vocal and adjust a little bit of the tuning into each specific section of the track. Then in the additional tracks, since we don't want to do that for everything else because it's a lot of work, we put auto-tune over there. But then over here, my rack for compressing vocals, just so you guys can see it, is this one over here. It's loading over here. It's a big, and it's like really heavy. So you have, it starts with soothe. Let's go here. Soothe over here. Essentially just taming a little bit. I tweaked the depth a little bit to taste. But it's just to tame a little bit of the peaks of the song. Soothe is really good to take resonant frequencies out. So if you have vocals, to me, that's a must-have. And I always use this softer vocal treble. Then we have a de-esser. Again, just to take a little bit of the S's and T's and sibilances of the sound, you know. Essentially here, if you look at it, what we're doing here is we're cleaning the vocal over here. And then we have the compression. Instead of compressing it a lot all at once, we're compressing 4 dB in 2 times. So you have 2 settings over here. They're exactly the same, other than the threshold possibly. There are even I tweaked the threshold, but essentially what we want is to have around 4 dB of compression over here. After 4 dB of compression, we go through the other compressor looking for the same 3-4 dB of compression. And again, the idea is to make it a little bit smoother by doing something in series, not in parallel. In parallel would be one raw and one not compressed. We want something in series over here. At least that's how I've been doing. And after everything, this is what you're seeing, the final result over here. You can see that we're not killing the dynamics, but at the same time, we have a really, how can I say, homogeneous? Like it's kind of flat in terms of like it's not over compressed, but it doesn't kill the dynamics, but it also has a little bit there. Anything to compliment, Angie?
I would say basically what we're doing is we're just taming the peaks, but nothing too harsh to alter the sound. It's just slight compression just to tame certain words or certain parts of the vocal. I would say pretty much.
Yeah, and not only this, but especially with a vocalist that might have a lot of dynamic range like Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon sometimes sings low, sometimes he sings high. For example, over here.
Erase what we found.
Here he's singing low.
My heart, it urges to keep.
Now he's singing higher. This changes the amount of... The low end is always a little bit heavier in terms of level than the high end. So essentially, in addition to that, sometimes, and I feel that we've done this for this project as well, you can also do a little bit of vocal writing as well. And what is vocal writing? Essentially, you just pick a utility or something to ride the volume, and you'd be like, okay, I need to make this a little bit louder over here and a little bit quieter over there. So I'm gonna raise this vocal a little bit, this word over here. I'm gonna lower this voice over here a little bit, and you ride the vocal.
I actually believe there's a plugin that does it for you already. I think it's called it's from Waves, Vocal Writer.
Vocal Writer. Yeah, it
does this all for you.
Yeah.
I
I don't really trust Vocal Writer.
Yeah, might as well do it yourself.
I might as well do it. Well, essentially, this plugin, I've used it before. Essentially, if you use it, it rides the vocal to you, and it's a lot easier. But as with anything that does stuff for you in music, I'm like, I'm not really confident. I don't trust it. Even Soothe, like, it drives me crazy that I have no idea, and I have no idea like could I replicate Soothe in another way, like with another plugin? I think no. I think maybe, but possibly no. So like that kind of stuff for a control freak like me, it kind of drives me crazy. But anyway. And then we have, for example, those altered voices over here. As I told you before, you can see that we have this one over here. You have this one. This is all done with little alter boy. Exactly. Soothe is a dynamic EQ, and it's dynamic with AI. So how can you do it everything over there? Essentially, what we're doing here is for the high pitch, high voice, we're just putting everything 12 semitones up. And the Foreman 12 up as well. And the low voice is the opposite. It's 12 down, 12 down. Leo, but I don't have Little Alter Boy. There's a plugin called from Melda M Auto Pitch, M Auto Tune, something like this. And you can do that with Melda for free. So that's a cool thing. In addition to that, we have those harmonies over here. And you can see that they are really stereo. Couple tricks that you can use to make the vocals stereo. And again, I don't see any plugin doing this. You can use Haas Effect for that. But what I always recommend for vocals is my good old friend Microshift over here. Essentially what Microshift does, it microshifts the left a little bit from the right. So then what you hear in the left is not the same as what you hear in the right. Well, I'm doing the opposite, right? But anyway. And then this creates the sense of stereo. For example, just so you guys can hear what it's capable of doing. This is the vocal over here. If you put the double, you can see how it makes the vocal more stereo. So without it, with it. This is how essentially we process the doubles over here. And we did this session together, me and Angie. If I'm not wrong, it was me and you, actually. It wasn't with Chris, right?
I think he was at hockey or something like he is now. So if you guys are wondering why my brother isn't here, he's at a hockey tournament. So best of luck to him. But yeah, it was just me and you, I believe.
For the doubles, normally we have a little bit of doubles over here. Normally something that we haven't done this for this one, but if you're using Microshift and doing doubles, something that I love doing is just adding a little bit of EQ afterwards and taking the low end, because I don't want to take the attention out of the main vocal. So you always want to blend them a little bit with the main vocals by taking either and the high end and the low end a little bit, just to contain them a little bit and keep them in a box, let's say like this, for the main vocal to shine. I feel that that's mainly it about the vocals. Anything that you'd like to compliment?
Just a little comment, I'd say, like, you know, when you're listening to a song with a vocal, you just kind of imagine, as a listener, you just kind of imagine like the vocal as like one channel. But in this case, like when you actually go in a project and you see what the producers do, like it all seems like it's one, but when you start like seeing what's actually going on behind the scenes, you could tell like there's a lot of things going on. And when you can only realize once it's muted, and you realize, wait, there's something up, there's something missing. There's, you know, so all these harmonies, all these doubles, like you won't necessarily pick it off, but once you go in the project and actually see it and be like, oh, okay, it makes sense, you know. There's so many little things that add up. And in my personal experience, when I'm working with vocals, I don't have this much usually. So I was able to hear right away, okay, you know, these little things that add up in the end make a pretty big difference, even though it's just little harmonies, little delays here and there, you know, it all adds up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a project all by itself. That's what a motto it said. It's 100% a project all by itself. Processing the vocal, it takes around 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours to do only that. I think that's what it took us when we did this.
Yeah, more
so
or less.
And it depends, because we had a lot of stems, if I'm not wrong. We can check it over here.
Maybe around 40, 50.
Yeah, we
had
had
to cut some down.
This is the idea that we had. The vocal mixing is here, and this is the dry vocals. This is everything that Brandon sent us, and then he sent us more stems afterwards over here. So it's like a lot of stuff. It's like a lot of stuff. This is all the processed vocals that Brandon gave us, and some more extra as well. So yeah, it's a lot of. Is there a process? Is there a method to the madness? Or is mainly trial and error? I feel that it's trial and error. Vocals, it's good to understand how you can work with them, but it's trial and error. It's a whole different thing from making music itself, I'd say, because as as Angie said, like, and as Amato said as well, it's a whole different perspective on what you have to do. You first have to comp the vocals. Let's say you're working with a vocalist for the first time, and they sent you raw vocals. You're gonna have to decide which one is the best take from the raw vocals. So that's the comping part. Then you have to tune them, which with Melodyne or Autotune. That's another thing. Then you have to time them to make sure that everything is on the grid. And then you have to apply all the effects. But essentially what you're trying to do is clean the vocal. And then once you have one channel strip for the vocal, you're just going to apply all the effects to it. But again, I love when I have like complete control of them, so you can see that they have different levels for each of the parts. And again, that depends from track to track because it depends on what it's underlying, like what is behind the vocal over there, the instrumental behind the song. And it depends. It 100% depends. But again, if you're not 100% sure, go to there's a video in how to do those creative effects over here. I'm gonna post it over there. Vocal. There's four kind of vocals four kind of effects that I've done a video on how to make your vocals better. So you can definitely check this video out. Conrad, I'm gonna tag you over there. Conrad, boom. Check this video, and you're gonna have 4 new ways of creating creative stuff with vocals over there. And see you, Jazzio. Nice to have you here.
Take care, man.
I think that the last part that we haven't gone through in this track is the effects. As you can listen, they play a big role. We have Atmos vocals. These are essentially Mignacca packs with a lot of processing, just to create some background. So again, if you want to listen without, I'm gonna put it over here. Here's a good part because we're not gonna have. I'm gonna take the vocal out so you can listen to it. As Angie said, these are background stuff that you won't how can I say, they're not there to be present and in front of you. They're there to be in the background, just complementing everything. So you have these kind of elements over here. We have the effects as well, which are mainly crashes. We have transitions as well, some impacts. And we have some risers as well. And again, everything, probably some more hits over here. Just some background stuff. Again, this is the stuff that is not supposed to be in front of you. This is not supposed to be like, wow, this is an amazing effect. This is something. This is something that you'd be like, okay, this is gluing everything together, because just so you can listen without the effects over here. The transition. Oops. Everything is just too abrupt, right? And then with the effects, it just glues everything together, and that's the beauty of that, you know.
You could just say it's ear candy, just like adding the sprinkles on top of the, you know, just adding some extra little things that make the track just maybe a 1%, 2% better.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And drum fills, again, since we're doing something that it's really organic and really soft and everything, we went for organic drum fills as well. And again, the drum fills, they're complementing the transitions, same as the effects. This is from Quantum Loops. if you want to get it, you can definitely get it over there. Quantum Loops. Let's go to the mixing session so you guys can see the mixing, a little bit of it. If you guys have any questions about the production itself, but if you want to see the mixing session, leave it here in the comments, and then we can check it if we go there or if we stopped over here. But yeah, let us know. We have it ready to go, and then let's go into it, and then we go. Now in the mixing session, we're gonna see some changes. And thank you, Conrad, from Stay Here. Catch up the mixing session afterwards because it's actually a cool part of it as well. So again, we have the vocals, as you've already seen, and as I told before, in the mixing, we have buses, but we don't do anything to the buses. Like, honestly, there's nothing happening over here. No effects, no volume, no anything. These are essentially just grouping the different sections of the song, okay? And if you listen over here, as I told in the beginning, like, we changed the piano. This is now a bit too loud, right? Let me just adjust this again. Is it okay, the volume? Let me know here in the comments if the volume over here, the mixing is better, because it was a bit too loud. Just listening. Hello, okay. But essentially, how come there's nothing in the buses? Well, to me, when you do like bus compression, first of all, Angie, do you do bus compression or something like this?
In the stem mix, no. But I would do it in the mix project. Well, I mean, me and you have a different approach, but which, you know, everyone has their own approach as an artist.
Yes.
But I usually do it in the main project. You know, if I have a drum bus, I'd add some, you know, analog EQ, boost some frequencies, do some glue compression, you know, just maybe some saturation as well. But it really depends. It's not like, you know, you do it like you watch a YouTube video and they tell you have to do, you know, this, then okay, I have to do it too. It's like you have to do everything with a purpose.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. So Amato asked me, are you exporting the stems from the song? Yeah, so essentially, remember that the project had all those names and everything. If you look at over here, you're gonna see all the channels that we're seeing over here. So for example, break ARP fill, this is this channel over here. Break guitar fill, this is this channel over here. Break strings, this is just channel over here. We just exported everything into stems. Reason why we're doing this, first, well, especially now, I've just changed from a non-M1 computer to an M1 computer, and I don't know if all the plugins that I have are going to work. So at least, let's say in 5 years you want to open this project, will Soothe work? Will Serum work? Will Diva work? I don't know. So at least we have the stems if we have to go back, and we can easily manipulate the stems and work like this. Second thing is, here is a clean project. Like, we don't have any like knobs to tweak in the VSTs. We don't have any like, oh, let's change a little bit of the effects of it. No, it's just
you're committing.
You're committing
to the sound. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is a mixed project, so you're not here to, you know, tweak ADSRs, and that was all in the other project. This is more of like, you know, you're starting to mix. Let's mix the track, you know, print to audio, and just work. Don't get distracted by little things that you could have done in the old project, in the other project.
Exactly. It's just supposed for you to commit into the audio. And then you can see that I'm going to go through just quickly toggling everything over here just so you guys can listen. But you can see that we raised the kick in 4 dB. We lowered the bass a little bit, but it's only EQ and tweak. Listen, check it over here as well. Okay, so here and over here, we have volume adjustments and EQ and a little bit of stereo as well. But essentially, that's it. A little bit of reverb, stereo. Not much happening other than EQ. Track spacer is a dynamic EQ. Let's say like this. And essentially that's it. Okay. Do you automate after or before you bounce into stage? So if it's a creative decision, let's say the automation is part of the song, it's part of the composition of the song, then it should be printed in the stems. You know, like you shouldn't do the automation here. Here is something that you can do automation here in this project, but the idea of this automation is mixing automation. Like I'm only doing this because I want this to be here and this part of the track and that to be there in that part of the track. This is not creative automation. For example, as you can see the piano here, it starts faded and it goes unfiltered afterwards. This is all printed into audio, okay? And the idea is, again, reference tracks all over the place. We just listen to the reference all over the place. We listen and say like, okay, do we need to raise this, lower this? And we start the mixing project the same way that we start tweaking. Oh, here's the mastering chain of the song. Do you use something similar for mastering chain, Angie?
I'm pretty sure I got most of it from you, honestly. I was like looking at your video and I was just like, oh my God, what is he doing? Because honestly, dude, like all your tracks sound really, really good. And you know, if all your tracks sound really good, then it only makes sense.
I'm happy. So essentially, well, if you want to go more in depth, there are gonna be two videos here. Both are gonna be in the description as well. There's one video in which I show only the mastering chain. There's a video where I show my mix and master workflow from start to finish, and you can check it all over there. But the mastering chain itself, essentially you're gonna have a low cut over here, just taming a little bit of this region which you're barely gonna listen to, and nothing is gonna happen over there, okay? Like it's honestly, like we're barely gonna listen to it. We have a little bit of OTT. You can see it's 10%, it's just a slight thing of OTT, nothing much over there. Then we have a little bit of 18K 48 dB cut as well. And one person has asked me like, why do I put the low cut here and not here after the OTT? I don't know. Like normally I that's kind of what I've been doing all the time. Then we have a little bit of glue compression. The glue compression is just doing, let me put it over here so you can copy the settings, but essentially that's it. Okay, slow attack, fast release, and essentially this is just 2 dB of compression. That's the only bus compression that I have, okay? And yes, Fab Filter is a linear EQ. We're not using any kind of linear phase or anything like this, okay? So 2 dB over here. Then we have Ozone Imager doing this, and I don't adjust this. This is literally like when I load my mastering template, that's it. We do also some volume automations before the drops. Okay, and this is to make the drop hit harder. So a way to make the drop hit harder without actually making it hit harder is by, without actually tweaking it, is just by getting what precedes it less hard, let's say like this. I'll answer both you, Corey, Ollie, and in a sec. And Miles Z, thank you for checking it out. You can continue afterwards. It's gonna be recorded, so you can return to here. And then we have the master chain, which is essentially this. I was really impressed lately, and this is not sponsored by Isotope, but I love Isotope, and they've suddenly released the. They've recently released the Ozone 10, and I've used their master assistant over there, and it sounds really good, like really good, to the point where I kind of thought like, okay, I still would want to do this with the mastering chain that I'm using, but I feel that from now on I'm gonna do master assistants every time to see if there's anything that I'm missing. So normally that's what I would use the mastering chain with. Just use this over here, this setting. That's normally what we always use. True peaks, ceiling of 0.01, and we use the ceiling over here because when you convert wave to MP3, there can be some little artifacts that go into the conversion that make your song go a little bit higher. So if you're at 0, it might go to 0.1, 0.05, and you don't want that. fast attack, 100% stereo independence, and transient emphasis all the way up. Again, just makes everything better, and that's why we love it this way. But that's essentially the mastering chain. Like, what level do we need to listen to everything, to put your songs to? What do you do when you're comparing your mastering? Like, how do you set, like, okay, here's the perfect threshold for the mastering. Here's at the perfect loudness. How do you do, Angie?
So it really depends on the song. So if you have more of a club track, I tend to master it louder. So maybe -6, maybe even that's pushing it, but I would usually go around -6. If not, if you have a track more like we'll say a slow burner, that's not necessarily like hard hitting. It's not like a club track. It's more of like a smooth track. Maybe go around 7/8, -7/8.
You're
so it really
talking
depends on the song.
You're talking luffs.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
luffs.
Yes. So it just really depends on the song, and obviously referencing is the, if you have a polished track that's already signed to X label, and let's say it's doing really well, it's getting support, it's getting streams, then maybe just check out what that song sounds like. Where is it hitting? What's the peak? And then maybe adjust it similar for your track. It really just depends, honestly, on the song.
Yeah, and not only this, what I would say is, okay, Leo, but my song is hitting at -6 or -7. But it's not as it doesn't sound as loud, like, or even I'm distorting a little bit. What is the problem? Normally you have a mixing problem if that's the case. Yeah. Normally. So people say that mastering, but like honestly, mixing is the 95% of your mastering will be done in your mixing. That's the reason. True. That's the reason why I personally, whenever I start mixing, just so you guys can see, I'm gonna just load my mixing project over here. This is my mixing project. Whenever I'm mixing my own tracks, whenever I'm mixing other tracks as well. This is the raw mixing project. You're gonna see all the buses and everything, and you're gonna see that I'm not lying on what I'm saying about my mastering chain. That's exactly it. And essentially the way that I do it is, I forgot the trail of why I came here, but what was I talking about? I forgot.
You're talking about your mastering chain, how it's the same.
Oh yeah, it's essentially that's always the same. They don't need to change it every there. And Corey asked me if I do my own mastering. I normally like to do my own mastering. Like, I don't like when people I recently sent a song to a label. They were like, "Oh, do a master, and then if we want, we can do the masters ourselves." And I'm like, I'm not so happy with that. But I'm gonna say, as a person who does it for other people as well, there are pros and cons of this. So whenever I do mixing and mastering for myself, I'm always like meticulous here, meticulous there. I'm like, oh, maybe it needs 0.1 dB more in the vocal, and it's not going to change a thing on that. When I'm doing mastering for someone else, not that I don't care about the song, but like, it doesn't really matter if it's 0.1 or 0.5. It's going to be really imperceptible for other people as well, as it could be to me. So I'm a lot more focused and to the point. I don't waste that much time. So there are the pros and cons. At the same time that if I need a change, I need to ask someone to do this for me, or if I'm doing it myself, I can change it myself. But at the same time, I can always change it myself, so I can keep on changing until I burn out from it, So pros and cons of it, like, I'd recommend testing whatever you prefer. If you don't like mix and master, ask someone. Because there are people that don't like doing that, just like to do the creative part. And what I came here for, and was exactly that. Normally, when I start my mixing, I place all the stems, but the mastering chain is always on. It's not on when we're creating the song, but it's on when we're mixing, because I want to listen to the mixing, how it's going to be in the end of the project. So I'm going to go back now to the project. Do you do the same way, Angie? Do you mix and master? Do you master only in the end, or do you master right from the beginning?
So what I would do is I would have a master, we'll say a mock master. So I have maybe like a limiter on we'll say the creative project, just to get just to see how it sounds with limiter on, and when you raise the volume, how it sounds. And I'd usually start referencing just a bit, just to kind of get into the ballpark. And then towards the end, I would kind of do the more extensive mixing. But I usually mix with a master, with a limiter on, but not all the time. It just really depends on it really just depends, honestly.
And when it comes to workflow, what do you normally start your mixing with? Like, what is your main element? Like, what is your starting point when mixing?
I'd say kick and bass, because that's really the fundamental of the track. If your kick is not, let's say you don't have the right kick, or your kick is really weak, then the rest of your track, your melody or anything won't fix the track. So it's just starting with the fundamentals and then working your way up. So kick, sub bass, then you can mix the other elements of the bass, the higher octaves, and then drums. So that way you have the fundamentals, and then the melodies, the atmosphere, the effects. You kind of just, over everything else, because you just start with the most important stuff. I wouldn't start mixing the atmospheres first, because that's really in the background. I would start doing the most important elements first. That way, if they sit right in the mix, then everything else we could just mix it in. I just feel like it's easier that way.
Yeah. I'm just answering Ollie over here. He
Yes.
asked me if I do ghost produce. Have you ever done something for someone else?
No, I haven't. I mean, I haven't gotten the opportunity to, but I mean, if it comes up, then I'll be open to it.
Yeah. So answering Ollie, like, I don't like doing ghost production because I get too attached to the songs, and
Yeah,
I like
that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
I like doing sound design because that's not my creation. It's not my composition. The problem is giving my composition away. Sound design, I feel that it's just sound design. It's just mix and master. That's something that I'm 100% comfortable with doing for someone else. I actually do it for someone else, but not full ghost productions. But back to the mix and master, like, I feel that I have a similar process. Normally I start, and I think that we did it this way with this one. We start with the kick and bass because, again, it's the main element of the song. And I'll answer Carlos in a bit, okay? I'll answer you in a bit. Kick and bass, same process as before. Place them at the same loudness. Make sure that they're either at 0 over here, or sometimes you can, like, sometimes some songs are a lot louder than yours. You can just make them a bit quieter, just to, again, loudness match them. And once you loudness match them, again, you're always going to look at your spectrum, as we showed in the start over there. After you do this, after at least kick, bass, second octave, and mid bass, then we go to what else is there in the initial section of percussions. Then we go to the percussions, and then for example, you can see that we have these additions over here. Then these are the next ones to be mixed. Same thing for the melodics. You start with what we have in the beginning, and then you go tweaking that to how it comes, Referencing, to me, it's key when mixing, because I normally, like, okay, is my piano too loud? Is my hi-hat too loud comparing to the reference? Is my clap too loud? Like, let's say, for example, I listen to this over here. And this, not there. So you can listen to the clap alone, okay? Try to focus yourself on the clap. It's kind of at the same loudness. They have different, one is more to the left, with more stereo, one is a little bit more centered, but they're kind of in the same loudness. And the idea is you start placing your elements according to at least what you like from other tracks. You don't necessarily have to focus the clap here and it's gonna have to have the whole song based on one track. No, you can pick a clap from one track, a hi-hat from another track, an effects from another track. Do you do the same way, Angie, or do you, or basically on your own when you go mixing?
You're saying when I'm referencing other tracks?
No, you mean like when you're mixing your tracks, so you use references, or you just do it on your own?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Ideally, I would pick maybe one to three in the beginning, and then I might add another 2 tracks. I'd maybe have 5 max, because I feel like the more you have, then you kind of get lost have 3 to 5 solid ones, and then you start listening back to your track. And what I usually do is I play the busiest part of my track. That way every element is present, and that way you can start, okay, mute everything, start with the kick, raise up the kick, see where the kick hits on your reference track on average of the 3 to 5 tracks. Then bring up one element at a time, and then start mixing, just check how everything sounds, and then it's pretty much it, one by one. And you start with the most important to the least important, and then just see where everything, all the levels are, and then you just go with the flow, honestly. I would say
same process here. I also use a lot of EQ matching over here. EQ matching, essentially, basically what you're doing, you're comparing your song to a reference track, and you're comparing the EQ curve of it. This is this track, for example. So you can see that we're not 100% here nor there, but in the middle of it, we're close to our reference track. So sonically, it's sounding close to it. It doesn't mean that we have the same elements. Doesn't mean that we have the same melodics or anything. Doesn't mean that we have to be in the same key as well. But sonically, I'm not sure which one this is, to be honest. It's been a long time, but ideally, I'm going to leave a link here in the description in the top right corner. I explain in detail how I use EQ matching, so it's a lot easier to just go over there. But essentially, you grab your track, you grab a reference track, and then you like, okay, maybe I need to raise this. Oops, not this. Maybe I need to raise this over here, like in, I don't know, 2 dB. This is like 3 dB over here at 585. So I go, what is 585? The mid bass, or it could be the piano, it could be something. For example, over here, we need to lower this. Oh, possibly this is the high-end elements. What are the high-end elements? Percussions, stuff like this, And then we go there and tweak it over there. For example, can you see this over here? That we need to raise this bit over here. This is exactly why we have some of the percussive elements with a little boost over here on the high end. Exactly to match what I showed you over here. It's trying to match that. Not necessarily you have to match that, but it's just trying to match that.
It's like a roadmap.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap. Exactly. And as a roadmap, you can follow your own roadmap. You can create, it's something that you plan to do, but you not necessarily have to do. And you can, for example, and that's the beauty, and that's why this is not copying. This could be matched to one song, this could be matched to another song, and this could be matched to an even different song. So it's a lot easier. It's just whatever you want to sound like. But there are some intricacies whenever EQ matching everything. Carlos then asked about in the mid side knob, there's an automation over here in the master chain. And yes, there is an automation over here. Also before the drops, just so you guys can listen. This is the drop.
More mono.
This is the drop before, without this. And this is with the automation. We're not actually changing the drop because everything in the drop is back to normal. But we're making what precedes the drop more mono. We're making what precedes the drop a little bit quieter. You can see 0.7 dB. And the reason for that is that if this is more mono and this is quieter, the drop by comparison and by contrast actually is going to be wider, and it's going to be louder as well. So we do this automation. There's also a video again in the description where you can see this over here. But essentially, this is a trick that I've been doing. Do you do this as well?
Yeah, it gives the drops more of an impact.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely a really good method to, if you feel like your song doesn't hit as hard, adding width automation before drops, and even gain automation will really make your drop really hit harder, or at least perceived.
Yeah. Well, and for example, one thing that I would recommend not going through that is don't go overboard, because
no, it's too obvious. Yeah, it's too obvious.
It's too much, and not only, and the same thing over here. Sometimes it's too much if you go. Like it becomes a little bit more than what is necessary actually. So definitely don't recommend doing more than 36 over here, or even sometimes I think that the biggest that I've done is minus 1.2 in gain. I've seen people go -2, but again, don't kill the energy of your song before the drop just to make the drop bigger. It's just to slightly diminish it. That's the word I'd say for this. And then over here, I feel that everything that we've done, you can see that we have a lot of volume changes over here. We don't have much EQ changes in the mix and everything. And again, a lot of what is guiding me is the process that I've told you of guiding us, actually, because we did this together. Is the process of like listening to references and seeing how loud this is, how loud that is. If do I want to be that loud in the mix? Do I want to be that quiet in the mix as well? And lastly, for example, we also saw one element have, I think it's the lead over here, if you want to listen. This is
we boosted it
before and after. I remember before Sekora asked for feedback for some changes on the song. We did the changes that they asked, but I also said I'm also going to introduce a couple of changes of because now listening, we feel that the lead could be a little bit more prominent, and at the same time we had a problem over here that here we have a vocal coming on top, and we have to deal with that. So a way to treat the lead with something dynamic is like the vocal that it's here, that it's some parts in, some parts out, is using track spacer. Track spacer, essentially, it's a band EQ. So it makes this band over here that we're tweaking, you can see the band over here, where it makes the band in black. It diminishes as the vocal comes in. So the idea here is to create space for the vocal within create space in the lead for the vocal to shine through a little bit above it. Do you use track spacer?
Yes, for this exact same purpose. So essentially what track spacer is doing is just kind of lowering, it's dynamic EQ, we could say. It's just lowering the frequencies that are competing with the vocal. So it's not completely eliminating them, but whenever the vocal hits, the frequencies of the lead will just drop. That way you give more space to the vocal. And it just gives more space to the vocal.
Exactly. That's the idea here. And not only this, but nowadays, Isotope came up with their own. Neutron 4 has Unmask. Not sure if you guys have Unmask, but to me, it looks prettier. And it's easier to control. And I feel that it's a bit more reactive, but essentially it's doing the same thing. So if you have track spacer, you don't need to get Neutron just for that. But if you don't have any of these, I'm gonna leave a link for Neutron and track spacer in the description, so you can get them over there. But whenever you're thinking about mixing, think that you have to put everything in a box. And if you have, let's say you have a box of 2x2, whatever it is, and you place a square which is 1.5 and 1.5 by 1.5, you're gonna have to either squash the rest within to fit everything in the box, or you're gonna have to lower this 1.5, this big object over there. Imagine you have to fit everything in a glass of water. That's another parallel that you can do. If something is disrupting or clashing with something else, you have to make space. Mixing, I like to think, and I'm gonna send the ball to you in a bit, Angie. I like to think about mixing in 5 dimensions. You have wideness, you have EQ, you have volume, you have sidechaining, which is volume and EQ a little bit, and you have the actual elements over there. sometimes you have too many elements. You have to get rid of some elements. Sometimes you have to open up space by sidechaining. Sometimes you have to open up space by EQing. Sometimes you have to open up space by putting some stuff in the stereo. For example, over here, as you can see, then this element over here, which was a shaker. Remember the shaker that was in mono in the main project? Now it's in stereo because, again, it just needed to open up space in the mono. And the other one would be, I think that the last one would be EQ. But volume and EQ, to me, are the main ones. What about you, Andrew?
I definitely agree that volume is the most important. And you have to also think too, like music production is all problem solving. So, you know, if you have two things competing with each other, you could either say, okay, let me EQ this to make space for one, or you could say, you know what, maybe it's just everything's cluttered in the middle. Maybe just try panning one thing, and then it might just create its own space. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, like music is just problem solving. So, I mean, you just have to figure out what's the problem and then just try out different solutions. So, like I said before, you could either use the EQ. You know, if you feel like everything's cluttered in the middle, maybe EQ might not do it. Maybe you just want to pan instead. For in this case, the shakers too, you have pretty much a lot of elements in the middle, and then you have like the extra elements pan to the side. But the shaker mono right in the middle will probably get lost. So I don't think EQ would do much in that case. So what's the other option? Yeah. Maybe have it panning left and right. So it's really just problem solving. Just that's what music production is essentially.
Yeah, and again, the first thing that I would that's the right mindset of like, okay, do I want this element? Yes, I want this element. So can I lower it in volume? No, I can't. So if I can't lower it, can I EQ it? No. Can I pan it? No. So like if you're answering no to all the questions, like I'm gonna ask you a different question is, do you have space for both elements to play at the same time? Because sometimes you don't, you know? Or sometimes you have to accept that you're gonna have a little bit of clashing, and
which is normal.
Which is normal again, but can you minimize it a little bit? Yeah, if you can, boom. That's what you have to go through. But normally EQ, and if you do EQ and levels, your mix is gonna be 90 to 80 to 90% done, in my opinion.
I mean, I've heard some songs that only were mixed with volume, like a before and after, like just volume changes, and it was like a drastic difference. So like compression and EQ would make a difference, but volume is, I even say 80% of mixing, honestly.
And I have some people ask me about compression, bus compression. Well, bus compression, essentially what you're trying is to make what is quiet louder and what is louder quieter. It's volume, essentially. Of course, if you're doing compression to change the dynamic of the sound, that's a different perspective. But you're using compression in the bus to glue the elements together, it's volume, you know, essentially what you're doing. So that's why you have to have that mentality when mixing and everything. Any last questions, guys? Because I feel that we've covered kind of everything that we wanted to cover. If you have a question to me, if you have a question to Angie, leave it here. If you have a question to Brandon, also leave it here in the comments. I'll ask Brandon to answer them later on as well. But yeah, we're going here to our last questions over here, and it's been really nice hanging out with you guys. I've seen that we have like 21 people still live with us. We had 45, which is really good, almost throughout the whole stream. So I'm really thankful for you guys to spend the Sunday with me and with Angie as well. And
really appreciate it, guys.
It was really nice. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward for your remixes as well.
Yes, absolutely.
We really look forward. We're expecting some big prizes, as I told you before. And not only this, but you have the opportunity, if approved by the label, of releasing with Sekora as well. So that would be a huge opportunity as well. The competition is probably starting mid-October, late October. At the moment, we have all the prizes. We're looking for a platform at the moment. And once we have the platform, it's just good to go. We can do this in no time. But it's been really nice hanging out with you guys. And again, even if you're watching this afterwards, we're not live, you can leave a comments here in the comment section. we all look this, and if there's a comment to mind of one, a question to mind of one, or a question to Brandon, we'll have him answering that for you afterwards as well. And last remarks from you, Angie?
Yes, so we talked about some of the most important things during the production stage. So I will just leave this on this. So I would say the two most important things, and we haven't even talked about one. Obviously, referencing. I wish I knew this before and earlier in my musical journey. Referencing will like exponentially help your track. Like if you hear past project or past songs that we've created, they'd sound nothing, like they didn't sound anything near the final product. So feedback, referencing, and also the most underrated trick or tip I'd say is taking a break. I'm telling everyone right now, like we're all guilty of working 6 hours right nonstop, and your ears get tired, unfortunately. And when you're mixing for 6 hours, you think you're doing your project better, but you're actually causing more problems because your ears are just dead tired. So it's good to take a break. I'm telling you, I was guilty of this, producing all night and just waking up the next day and being like, well, I did all these changes and it sounds worse. So take a break. I would say every hour or so, refresh the ears a bit. Even if it's a 5-minute break, just as little as a 5-minute break will help a lot. And I would say the most important part also, just have fun.
Yeah,
see just what it is. Music's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with I would add just one last thing over there. It's hard. It's really hard in the beginning when you're starting as a producer, but try to and I feel that that's a little bit connected to the referencing, but try to have a goal with what you're trying to achieve with the song, even if it's as subtle as I want to create a song that is suitable for when I'm driving to the beach. I want to create a song to when I'm just chilling at home. I want to be at a club song or whatever, something like this. Because then you have at least something to pursue. You have, okay, club songs. So what are club songs that I like? Club songs that I like are these ones. Boom. Then you can already have a list of references over there. It's going to be easier to find references. And it's going to be helpful for you as well to give a target of where you need to go as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Okay,
guys, don't forget to follow Abstrakt Music Lab. Videos every week.
Yeah,
really good content.
Yeah, And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't liked the video, hit the like as well. Well, and I hope to see you soon. We have a live stream coming in on Thursday, a feedback live stream on Thursday. So if you have any songs to submit for our video for our live stream, it's gonna be on Thursday. You have to join our Discord. The Discord link is over here in the chat, and you can submit over there in the feedback session. It's not open yet, but it's gonna be open probably Monday or Tuesday, and you can submit your songs over there, and we are gonna listen to it and give our feedback live. Last time I did 30 songs, so it's gonna be a lot of songs over there as well. So it's gonna be really cool, and we're gonna see a lot of. It's actually like it's really cool because it's really interactive. Everyone listens and gives feedback. It's not only myself. The chat is really active as well. So I'm sure you guys will have fun once submitting or even just following, because again, you can learn a lot from other people's mistakes. Let's say it like this. So if you're around Thursday, 2 p.m. EST. Or 9 p.m. CET. So 9 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. EST. That's Eastern time in the US. And then you just follow the Discord over there. You're gonna be able to find all the information and all you need to know about the live stream over there as well. Okie dokie. And guys, really nice having you here on Sunday. I wish we have more like this, but again, we're probably gonna have a lot more coming as well. We have some releases coming. Do you have any releases coming as well, Angie?
Got some stuff in the works, waiting for some release dates, but working on some new music like always, and like always, excited to get it out there.
Once we have
And
this,
maybe another collab with Leo. We'll see.
maybe. And again, there's a video from the guys from Mind of One. They showed how they did a remix for a song of mine. You can check. I'm gonna leave a link here in the description as well, and there'll be a ton of links in the description. But anyway, check their stuff. Check Brandon's stuff. He has some amazing stuff as well. And stay safe, everyone.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great
Happy
end of your
Sunday.
week, and hope to see you soon on Discord or wherever we find ourselves again. Cheers.
Cheers.